He asked me not to set the bar too high for him, but I will tell you, this is a gentleman with an impressive resume, an impressive ability to connect with people, and somebody that I think has a really neat story to tell. I would like you to put your hands together and help me welcome Mr. Jim O'Connor.
Thank you, Michael. Good job. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Mom. You know, I want to really thank Carrie and Michael and everybody who has had a hand in putting this convention together, because as he mentioned, there's some great speakers and some great workshops. So I went down for a cup of coffee this morning. I sat down at Starbucks, and Tommy McGee, who is a really top-notch internet manager at Kelly Ford, says, Jim, they've got fantastic workshops, and all the good speakers are on tomorrow. Welcome to Vegas. Tommy, Mr. Kelly, by the way, called out here and said that you're on waivers. If anybody needs a good internet manager, Tommy may not be coming back to Florida. He only had a one-way ticket. So it's great to be with you. Let me say that this is my former, it says retired, business card, if you will. And so I play golf, usually lose about $15 to $30 a round. It's recreation money. And so they said, how are we going to get together with you next time, Jim? I said, geez, I don't know. I don't have a business card. So I made up a business card. O'Connor Incorporated, America's Guest, have handicap, will travel. Right now it's in reprint, another 500 cards. Have high handicap, will travel. So if anybody needs a real high handicapper, just let me know. Secondly, if any of you want to advertise, you can see I live down in Naples, Florida, and Grosse Pointe, Michigan, which is Detroit area. Anybody wants to put their logo on their golf ball, have it sprayed all over Naples, you look at my card or see me at the cocktail party, I'll give you my business card, you send me a dozen. I got to make money somehow as a retiree. Okay, I'm so nervous. I haven't given a speech. I retired in 2004. I haven't given a speech since December of 2004. I am so nervous. So I called my Irish mother up in heaven. I said, Ma, how long should I talk? If I talk too long, even though I'm only 35 minutes late if you look at the program, getting on the program, so don't blame me if we get to the cocktail party a few minutes late. But I said, Ma, if I talk too long, they're all going to get upset with me. If I talk too short, Eric's going to report back, I didn't get my points across. So, Ma, how long should I talk? She said, Jimmy, now, ladies, if you're a mother in the room, how many mothers call their 70-year-old child still Jimmy? Jimmy, she said, think of yourself as a body at the Irish wake. They need you to have this big party, but they don't expect you to say very much. Okay, Paul Harvey, page 2, here we go. Over 40 years, I came out here for many conventions, listened to many speakers, but it was truly, and I mean this, truly my belief that within 6 or 8 hours, or maybe 2 or 3 days, about 90% of the people that heard speakers couldn't remember a word they said. So I really only have one goal, and that's to give you a few points on leadership, and then hope that maybe 1 or 2 of the points stick with you and that you become a better leader. My theme is simple, the power of one, because I truly believe how a great leader can transform an entire company, the power of one. And I believe many great leaders are really ordinary men and women, but they have extraordinary determination and commitment. Think of that lady who just swam 110 miles from Cuba, 4th or 5th time. That's determination and commitment. Can you imagine going 53 hours in swimming? There's another example. Well, not yet. Now, remember, while you're sitting out there, you can't change the past, but you can change the future. And everyone here is a leader to someone, even you, Tommy McGee, in your organization. And the reason you're here, as I understand it, is you're very, very good at what you do, and your company's investing in you to be even better. So to grasp the power of one, let's talk about what leadership is and what it isn't. I guess there's probably been at least 300 books written on leadership by all sorts of marketing gurus. Technically, there could be maybe five different styles: charismatic, authoritarian, where they manage by control, inspirational, transformational, situational. And let me confess, I've never written a book on leadership, and I'm sure in my allotted time I'm not going to cover all the points that you might think of that a leader should do. What you'll hear from me today are my own personal views in working with many leaders, some great, some good, and some not so good. I'll give you a few O'Connorisms, and I would tell you that what you hear today, take it to the bank. It will work. Some O'Connorisms I've heard before, some I've stolen, and some are O'Connor originals. Now, leadership isn't a given. It's actually a privilege or an honor, and not everybody can be a great leader. But it isn't rocket science. But you do have to have the passion, the commitment for what it takes to be a great leader. Now, here's another example. How many of you do you know that on January 1st of each year say, I'm going to lose 25 pounds? They go to the gym, they work out. By about the 20th of the month, their will is shot, no commitment, no determination, they give up. And let me qualify, these are not my feet. Leaders never give up, like that lady who just did the swim run. To be a great leader, you know it's not a 9-to-5 job, and you live the job, really, if you're a great leader, 24 hours a day. You sort of have two families, one at home and one at work. And one of the great leadership myths is that leaders are born. You've heard the expression, she's a born leader, he's a born leader. Well, there must be some genetic factor that makes you a great leader. Some charismatic factor? Absolutely untrue. Leaders are made, and all of you can be great leaders. A couple of O'Connor definitions. Management is getting things done through people. Management is getting things done through people. But leadership is getting more out of people than the science of management says is possible. Anybody hear of Vince Lombardi? Great coach. Leadership is the art of getting people to do what you want them to do because they want to do it. And one of the best ways to become a great leader is to learn from other great leaders. So who do we know that has the power of one? Now, I'm sure the Ford dealers or their employees that are here in the room would tell you that CEO of Ford, Alan Mulally, is a great example. There's no question, when Alan left Boeing after 37 years, and then he went to another company. I mean, that's sort of unheard of. 37 years, he came in September of 2006 to Ford. Those were challenging times. But if you think about 2006, 2007 and 2008 were even worse. And I remember a quote from Martin Luther King. The ultimate measure of a person is not where he or she stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but rather where he or she stands in times of challenge and controversy. Alan Mulally arrived 2 years after I left. I left in 2004. He came at the end of 2006. Those were challenging times, high controversy. 16 to 17 million units in the industry, it dropped below 10. A 60%, 70% drop. I mean, huge numbers. But he's a down-to-earth engineer, and not only has the power of one, but used the power of one to transform the Ford Motor Company. He's the real deal, and we can learn a lot from him. Now, one of the key phrases he uses is define reality. When he arrived, he insisted on, how big's the industry going to be? How about the economy? Where's it going? I don't want any pie-in-the-sky projections. Remember, a leader defines reality and then rallies his people around a plan. And the only other thing you shouldn't do if you're a leader is have no plan. So as a leader, when you set up your forecast in your departments or for next year or for your dealerships or for whatever your business is, how do you define reality? Or are you one of those dealers or managers who push their department managers for numbers that they couldn't possibly hit and then wonder all year, why they didn't make them? As a leader, define reality in your marketplace. Mullally did a lot of homework before coming to Ford. He knew that the best way to predict the future was to create it. And some say vision is the art of seeing things invisible to others. The art of seeing things invisible to others. Steve Jobs said, I want something that can put 1,000 songs in my pocket. iPod, iPhone. It's only been out, less than 10 years? It's unbelievable. Now people are talking about, I won't call them eyeglasses or iWatches, but whatever it's going to be called, Google Watches or something. I mean, this is going to be and you, every one of you, are in the area that can really transform the auto industry and have a major impact. It's already having a major impact. Well over a third of the business is coming from your leads and how you handle them. He also set out to have an exciting and viable Ford Motor Company where there was profitable growth for everybody, the employees, dealers, suppliers, the union people, and shareholders. And he met personally many times with his own employees, his union employees, big suppliers, which is a message. If you're not dealing one-on-one with your key people and setting the expectations that you want from them, you're missing the boat. He also knew that legacy-based thinking shackled you to the past and limited you to the future. He didn't focus on what was, he asked, what if? And the bottom line, and I'm not trying to give a commercial at Ford because I'm just an old retiree, but since 2009, they've made $32 billion. Everybody says their products are fantastic nowadays, and they took no government loans. So for a Ford retiree, I'm extremely proud of Ford Motor Company, and we can learn a lot from Alan Mullally. So who else has the power of one? Anybody here of a guy named Roger Penske? Clearly, he is the power of one in his business, whether it's a car dealership or a group of car dealerships, whether it's motorsports or whether it's dealing with Wall Street. He is the man. And he believes in a long-term relationship. I know, I dealt with him many times. His group has 4 dealerships. And as was mentioned, I was in charge of racing at the company. Not the technical person who worked with the engines and so forth, but the overall programs. And Roger has a Ford race car team. And I spent a lot of time with him. He's very community-minded, as are many leaders. He chaired the Super Bowl back in Detroit a couple of years ago, and he brought back Formula One to the city of Detroit. So he's a big-time guy who clearly has the power of one. Excellent example. But I want each and every one here in the room to understand that you have the abilities to transform your own dealerships, your departments, whatever company you work for. And normally it's the general manager of the dealership who they say is the leader. But for any managers here including all the internet managers, never forget you're a leader to the people you supervise, and never underestimate how much your employees look up to you for leadership. Now, as was stated earlier a couple of years ago, I was asked to be an equity partner at Kelly Ford in Melbourne, Florida. That's just south of Cape Kennedy on the East Coast. And Mr. Kelly has owned the dealership for 38 years. He's been a Ford dealer just over 50. And he is a Florida resident, which means he's in Florida 6 months of the year. Or if any of you work for the IRS, he's down there 6 months and a day, for the record. It's a joke, okay. The other 6 months, he's in Pennsylvania. So he's really an absentee owner. And the real leader is our partner and general manager, Glenn Wood. Now, Glenn is in the room, so I don't want him to be embarrassed in any case, but I really feel this way. Glenn is confident. He has determination. He has passion. He has commitment. And he has great, great pride. And in the organization, loves to follow him. You know, after going over to the morning doc sheet, looking at the used car inventory, writing a few checks, he's out chatting with all the employees. He truly is what you'd call management by walking around. And he's a great listener. 2 ears, 1 mouth he uses in that proportion. He's always listening to the employees. What do we need to do? What do we need to do better? And he sets the tone for the organization and has created a winning culture. He knows that great performance starts with great morale. But you come down to Melbourne, Florida, he is no BS. He's very direct, he's very firm, but he's very consistent, and he leads with unwavering decisiveness. His employees, and this is key, his employees know that he has their back and their interest at heart, and they go the extra mile for him. So I ask you as leaders, think about your own employees. Would they go the extra mile for you? Now here's an O'Connorism. Great leaders have the shadow of a giant. And regardless of your position in the dealership, each of you have a huge shadow over your organization. And depending on your leadership skills, that could be positive or it could be negative. Let me give you an example. During my last 6 years with Ford Motor Company, I'd meet every single Monday morning with Bill Ford, who was the chairman, and the top 10 or 15 executives at Ford Motor Company. Being in charge of marketing, sales, and service for US, Canada, Mexico, I'd bring the group up to date on sort of current events, whether it was our sales versus where we're headed for the month, whether it was any new incentives, or I might say, well, we're putting the finishing touches on what we're going to say and show it out at the LA Auto Show. Bill Ford might say to me, Jim, you're having a great month. Please congratulate the sales team and importantly the Ford dealers. Guess what? I'd walk out of there with my chest out, strutting like a little peacock. Bill Ford didn't give me a raise. He didn't give me a bonus. He merely said, congratulations. Bill always looked for the positives and not the negative. My point is, understand the shadow of a giant that you have in your own organization. Now, let's reverse it a little bit. Same Monday morning. I worked all weekend at the LA Auto Show. Many of you work Saturdays. Many of you work Sundays. You get home late at night. You come to that Monday morning meeting. Somebody gives you a shot. You go down. You're not strutting. Your performance suffers. And what I'm saying really does happen at Ford every day, and it happens at your dealership every day. Think about it. So always remember, as a leader, what you say, when you say it, and how you say it has a very positive or negative effect on the employees that you supervise. And we both know that performance of employees has a lot to do with how they feel between their ears. Trust me, it's real, not huge management, leadership strategies. Think about it. Think about your own thing. Somebody gives you a shot. How do you feel all day when you're walking around? Next, recognition. When you do have good results, how do you handle it as a leader? And if you do respond you respond consistently? You can talk every single month about your top salesperson, your top F&I manager, your top internet employee, your top service writer. You can talk about the office if you worked a big weekend and they stayed there running deals. You can talk about the porter who washes the cars, the new and used, and keeps them lined up every single day perfectly. When something is said positively to each of these employees, nothing is more powerful. And it doesn't cost you a dime. And I assure you, when they go home, they're going to say, did you hear what Glenn said to me at the dealership today? He said, you're doing a great job. They're proud. And how about you? When all of you get home, I want you to hug your spouse or your significant other and say, thank you for supporting everything I do. They too will appreciate it. Or they may say, okay, tell me really how much you lost out in Vegas. We all know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Or just tell them, some guy named O'Connor told me to hug you. I don't know what the hell's going on tonight, I'm just hugging you. Leave me alone, come on. Okay, here's an O'Connorism. If it's a metric that you use at your dealership and it's important, track it. If you track it, rank it. If you rank it, reward it. Everybody loves to be recognized. Nobody wants to be down on the bottom of the leaderboard. And as I said before, you don't have to throw a lot of big money at your people. Recognition is very important. The greatest lesson I learned over my 40 years, it's all about people and process. And don't be afraid to publicly celebrate your victories. You have victories at your stores. Take this image in mind. Some team wins I was going to say Yankees because I'm from New York, but some team wins the World Series. They go back to their locker, they put their uniforms away, they close the door and they go home, as opposed to spraying champagne all over the place. Why? Because they're celebrating. Celebrate your victories. Let your employees know that they're working with a great team. Next, responsibility and accountability as a leader. Great leaders accept the responsibility of running their operations, but they also accept the accountability. I worked with a lot of people in 40 years at Ford Motor Company, and some of them thought they were superstars. And they were always complaining, how come I didn't get the big job? How come I didn't get the big job? You've got them in your dealerships. You've got them in your departments. They were always saying they want the big job. But when you tattooed them with delivering the numbers annually, quarterly, and by month, they say by their actions, I don't want that part of that deal. I just want the big job. I don't want the responsibility. I don't want the accountability. Very, very important. Leaders accept both and do it graciously. Here's one. You can't get it done by yourself, and great leaders surround themselves with the best people they can find. You're only as good as your people. You're only as good as your people. You put a new general manager in the store, a new internet manager, Tommy, in the store, bang, everything takes off, it pops. So Connor's big three are, put the right people in the right jobs, set the right conditions for success, and you will have success. But remember, everybody, including me, everybody has strengths and weaknesses. But great leaders have that ability to take different styles of people and different strengths and weaknesses and integrate them all together. That's a sign of a great leader. How about delegation? Great leaders are comfortable delegating. My rule of thumb was over-empower the great performers. Over-empower the great performers. You don't have to follow them up every day. Empower them. They'll get the job done. But under-empower those not getting the job done, and then from time to time, make that difficult decision to possibly replace them. So I ask you, how are you at selecting and developing people? At delegating? accepting responsibility and accountability. Now here's an O'Connorism. I used to say it over and over and over to my team. There's no right way to do the wrong thing. There's no right way to do the wrong thing. You think you're going to take unethical steps to get ahead and work for me, you're out the door. And I have fired actually a president of one organization that worked for us. He was unethical. And that was a tough thing, go to talk to the chairman of the company and saying, I think we ought to fire this president. Well, what's the facts? I'll give you the facts. There's no right way to do the wrong thing. Integrity is key. Leaders need to remember your key is always observing what you do. You cross the line, and they say, good for him or her. Why not me? Tell your employees, there's no right way to do the wrong thing. And great leaders need to be prepared to make mistakes, but admit them and then fix them quickly. I don't think if you're not taking any risks and you're not making any mistakes, you can be a great leader. You got to stretch a little bit. And let me tell you one thing. If you're still using whiteout, we got to talk at the cocktail party. Okay, back to Alan Mulally for a minute. He's credited with a major cultural change at Ford Motor Company. Now we're talking about 200,000 people were walking down this line. Now they're walking this way. Totally different cultural change. He sat down with his employees and he said, how do we want to treat each other? And how do we want to work with each other? He said to them, what principles and behaviors do you need to exhibit to be on our team? Seems kind of simple, huh? How do we want to work together, treat each other, and how do we want to work together? And what behaviors do we need to exhibit? Now, I ask you to think about these with the people you work with each day. Number one, everyone on the team is included and is important. Everybody on the team is included and is important. Openness is encouraged. Openness is encouraged. You know, running a dealership is like a marriage. Uh-oh. Where is Jim going now? Running a dealership is like a marriage? Stick with me for a second. Leaders need to create open and honest communication. And open and honest communication is fundamental in a marriage. For those of you who are married, you know that no communication, both spouses go to their neutral corners and they're going down the wrong road. My wife and I have been married 45 years. I make it a habit never to go to bed when we're fighting. Michael, I've been up 3, 4 o'clock in the morning trying to get it settled a couple times, but, you know, communication, open and honest communication. Number 3, every team member must participate in a meeting. How many meetings do you go to where people know the answer? They're closest to the problem, they're closest to the solution, but they don't talk. No one sits on their hands. Every team member must participate in meetings. Team members, as I said before, are responsible and accountable. Now think about this one. And I know it's not easy. At many stores, we turn over way too many people. Instead of evaluating how they were hired, how they were trained, and then holding the person who hired them accountable and responsible. You're just spinning and spinning and spinning. Think about that. 5, mutual trust and respect is a must. Now, if I'm honest, when I became an equity owner, a little equity owner at Kelly Ford, I'm not sure everybody down there trusted me. First of all, they didn't know me. They've seen me. Didn't know me. I'm the guy from the factory. And you know the 3 biggest lies in the whole world are, will you marry me in the morning? The check's in the mail, and I'm from the factory and I'm here to help you. But you had to build trust and respect by your actions. Trust and respect by your actions. And as you do, people get more comfortable, and I believe the trust and respect is there. So, real key, trust is the fundamental thing in building. And I even saw one of our other stores that I'm not an equity owner in, there was disconnect between 2 people. They didn't trust each other. They didn't work well together. You could just see it. You got to break that down as a leader and get that resolved. High performance teamwork is a performance criteria, number 6. Number 7, facts and data drive our decisions. Here's a great line from Mullally. You can't manage a secret. You can't manage a secret. So get the facts and the data up on the table and drive the decision. You know, great teams don't hold back with one each other. They're not afraid to air their dirty laundry. They admit their mistakes, their weaknesses, their concerns without fear of reprisal. They focus on the problem as opposed to finger pointing. So I encourage you to think about, when you go back to your operations, talk about what I think is a very important issue. How do you want to work together, and what behaviors do you want to exhibit as a team? The other thing that Mullally did was he held a 1-hour, very disciplined meeting every single Thursday. If you were in London or Brazil, get on the teleconference and participate. His key people had to participate. He used metrics on all the deliverables. He coded them red, yellow, and green for very easily updates week to week. But the meetings were held every Thursday, every month, every quarter, driving continuous improvement. Now, back in 2007 when he started, he walked in a meeting, everything was green. He said, hello, we lost $28 million in the last 2 or 3 years. The cars aren't coming out on time, the quality's not good. Why is everything green? That quickly changed. So I suggest to you, hold a meeting with your teams, at least, and I'm sure a lot of the stuff I'm saying you're already doing, but hold them, but use facts to drive the decisions. At Kelly Ford, we actually do use red, yellow, and green on our major metrics, and we focus the meeting time pretty much almost on if there's 1 or 2 reds, but anything that's in yellow to drive continuous improvement in those areas. Same as your dealership, no different. Get a good flow of communications going up and down. Then try to get what I call the elephant issue. The elephant issue that's sitting in the middle of the table up. Every organization has issues that all the employees know they're going on, and they're asking the leader or observing the leader, how are you going to handle it? How are you going to handle it? How are you going to handle this elephant issue? And they're waiting to see how you're going to handle it. And if you don't handle it, it'll be there the next morning. So I know it's not easy, and I know that a great flow of communications is something that's not always easy. And I can hear some of you saying, I don't want to ask the general manager for more resources, and I don't want to cover those poor results with my employees from last month. You know what? If you don't cover them, they'll be there the next month. So get the facts on the table and discuss them. Next, communication. If you have a strategy as a leader, energize it. Constantly energize it. Say the same thing over and over. If I come back next year, which I'm not, I'd say the same speech. You know why? You won't get it all. I want you to just get 1 or 2 points out of here. Over and over. You listen to Mullally, he'd drive you nuts. I heard him in 07, I'm hearing him now. 1 forward, 1, Michael, 1 forward, 1 goal, 1 team, 1 vision, right? Huh? He never gets off it, never gets off it. But that's what the people are now, that's their mantra. Great leaders reinforce the same points over and over. Here's what I did at Ford. Take it if you want it. Every second or third of the month, I'd get on a telecast with the dealers. Big oval behind me, and what did it say? WIN. My winning philosophy. What's important now? Okay, dealers, this is what I want you to know right now. What's important now for this month or next quarter or what have you? This is what we're going to discuss. I might have hit, Michael, is that true? What's important now? And so I'd ask you, general managers or dealers, you ought to be in front of your organizations visibly at least once a month. Let them know that they're working with a winner. They want to work with a winner, and they want to feel part of the family. That's why you want to get up there and tell them everything's going great at our store. Next, you would have heard this if you worked for me, minnows and whales. Great leaders focus their time and time management on the highest leverage things that are going to produce great results. So I ask you, to go from good to great, what are your whale issues? I'd venture to say they're mostly people or process. You don't have a used car problem. You got a used car manager problem. Or a parts problem, you got a parts manager problem. Good people with good process, they'll solve the problem. You can go back to sleep. It is people and process. Quality people with good process solve problems. So while you're here in Vegas, take some quiet time. What are the issues holding back the area that you work in, or your dealership, or your business, or whatever you do? Think about them. Look in the mirror. You should know what they are. And then commit in the next 45 days, not 17 years, 45 days, we're going to solve these 1, 2, 3 big whale issues. And here's a thought, again, something simple that I used. Every single night before I went to bed, I wrote in my little book. Now you use your iPhone or what have you, type it in. Write down, what did you do that day? What were the big things that you did that spent your time doing that day? And then on Sunday, about after a week of putting notes in there, look back and say, did I spend my time on those 1, 2, 3 big whale issues that's going to drive our business straight up? It really will be an immediate report card on your time management and seeing how you're working on the vital few things that'll drive your performance. And I would recommend you might want to consider driving that whole concept down through your own employees. Now, I don't suppose we'd all be here if we didn't love the car business. Now, that's my best effort to tell you we love the car business. You know, there's a saying, and we've all heard it, you got to have gasoline in your veins to work in this industry. The retail business in many, many markets, and in whatever businesses you are in, is a 7-day-a-week business. It's not an easy business. Your jobs are tough. Right, Sal? Your jobs are tough. You bust your butt. You just close out August, and ho! Mr. Kelly calls down and says, hey, Sal, it's the first of the month. How are we doing this month? Anybody hear that one before? So why are you as leaders in it? Why? You love it. You love it. You love the challenge. You love the success. You love motivating people. You love seeing results. And because you truly do have gasoline in your veins, or you wouldn't be in the business. And I believe that each and every one of you have the power of one to raise your activity, your department, your dealership, your business, whatever it is, to the next level. And I truly hope, as I said in the very beginning, maybe 1 or 2 points I said today stick, and you become a better leader. So AutoCon, thank you for having me. I'll talk to you at the cocktail party.